Hello, my name is Aritra, and this is my submission for the GKE Turns 10 Hackathon by Google Cloud. For this hackathon, I have made a cluster assistant for your Kubernetes cluster using Gemini. What I've done is basically integrating the Gemini API into an application that I've made, and with this application, you can ask for information about your cluster or even perform actions in your cluster. The main website is hosted on gke-turns-10.streamlit.app, as you can see on my screen. Over here, we have a general overview of the pods that are running in the cluster. Of course, you might be having a better experience using an IDE like Lens. But below that, we have a section to enter a prompt. So let's explore this. And just for your information, the application I've chosen is the online boutique, which is given here. And although I've turned off the load generator, I've filled it with some sample traffic already. So why don't we get started by asking Gemini Assistant what it can or cannot do. Let's begin by typing the prompt. How can you help me? As you can see, it may take some time to load depending on your internet speed. It gives me a non-generated message on how this assistant is able to help me, such as giving me pod level descriptions, analyzing logs, scale deployments. I will demonstrate all these. Let's go back. And let's ask some questions about the core level metadata of any one of the pods running on the cluster. Say, for example, the front-end pod. So I'm going to ask it, describe the image behind the front-end pod, and also give me, I don't know, the resource limits for the pod. Of course, these are things that are both in the core level metadata of the pod. So let's ask Gemini and see if it can respond. As you can see, it's first going to the view that describes our front end pod, and the assistant responds with the image behind the front end pod and also the long name and the long tag behind it. And the resource limits, as we can see here, is given to us as 200 millicore CPU and 128 megabytes of memory. This is exactly the information that I wanted. So let's go back. Now, let's choose a pod at random and let's ask it for some concrete data and information. I'm going to ask it the logs that it can provide for, say, the email service pod. So let me ask it, what are the logs for the email service pod? Remember, you can ask this assistant in completely human natural language. You don't have to be very specific with keywords like in a Google search. And as you can see, it provides me with the logs for the email service. I can now ask further follow-up questions on these logs. For example, let's ask, are there any errors in the logs? And it's going to analyze those with Gemini and provide me with the response. So it does an analysis and it gives me a summary. The assistant says the user warning, so the assistant says the user warning is from Python, but generally there are no immediate errors. So we don't have to worry about this. Let's go back. Finally, the cluster assistant can actually perform actions in your cluster. Let's see this with trying to scale one of our deployments. Let's choose, say, the currency service. I'm going to scale this to 2 replicas because currently there's only one. Let's ask the assistant to scale the currency service to 2 replicas. Scale the currency service to 2 replicas. I'm going to send it. And as you can see, it has actually scaled my currency service to 2 replicas, which is shown here. And we can actually confirm it by going to our command line, getting the deployments. And as you can see, the currency service has 2 replicas that are lined up, out of which one is ready. So that is my application. Thank you for listening in.